Welcome to the second episode of the Behind the Bricks podcast. Today's topic will be set design, and me and Tom will be talking about our techniques and our tips and tricks to achieve good set design, whether you have less bricks or a lot of bricks. So, without further ado, enjoy this episode.
Welcome everyone back to episode 2 of Behind the Bricks. My name is Tom and this is Jared.
What's up?
And we're back again, 1 week later, as promised, as prophesized. And we're going to talk a little bit about sort of in between pre-production and production here. I guess, is this production? I guess it's production. But I guess it's pre-production as well.
This is like the pre-production, I guess.
Pre-production, yeah.
Yeah, it's such a strange word, but set design, that is what today's topic is all about. Now, set design is, one of the hardest things to get right in your brick films, whether you may not have a lot of bricks, or you may not have a lot of accessories, or maybe you just have too many bricks and you just don't know what to build. Well, that's what we're here for. We're here to help you in that kind of sense of the way and provide tips and how we do things, and to make you comfortable with your bricks and your set design, so you don't have to make terrible sets and then just quit brick filming forever. That is not our job. Our job is to make sure you stay into the brick filming community and you get better at whatever you do.
Okay, and I think we're gonna sort of approach this in two different areas today. We're gonna do it from a utility perspective, so how to physically create a good set that's good to film with, good to animate with. And on the flip side, we're gonna talk about what is a good set. Do you need loads of bricks, that sort of thing. So I guess unless you have a preference, Jared, should we kick off with the utility side first?
Yeah, let's go with that. So, the utility side, how to physically get a better set. Well, in my case, I don't have a lot of bricks, so I have to, incorporate that idea into, how my mentality of making a brick film. So I have to, build to whatever your camera sees. I think that's number one.
Yeah,
put your camera down.
Number one rule. Yeah.
Frame your shot.
This isn't a mock, it's a set. Sets are different than mocks, yeah.
Exactly. The thing I'm glad you brought that up, because a mock and a brick film are two separate things.
Yeah.
A mock is for people from all around to see. A brick film is also a thing for people for all around to see, but in such an enclosed space on a web page. If you look at the YouTube, box, the viewing box, it's not that big. You look at like a mock and their shots and their pictures. Mocks are huge. So when you think about brick filming and set design, you have to go into it thinking, you know what, my camera is not that big. The way your composition is not a huge thing. You need to, frame up your shot and build to whatever the camera sees. Build around your character, build in the background, And I know most people think, I don't have a lot of bricks. What am I going to do about this? Well, that's easy. Just take what bricks you have and make a scene out of it. Build around your character. Think about, what could I make with these bricks? Like, I have a lot of green bricks. What am I going to do with that? Well, you could make like a forest, or like a, like a green pasture, or even like a green building, honestly. Or if you have a lot of like, gray bricks, you can build like a space corridor, or, like an alleyway, or maybe a tunnel. I don't know. But I think number one is, build with what the camera sees. Because a lot of people, they build a lot of extra, and they build like a, a huge entire set. Because they see, big YouTubers and big brick filmers build giant sets for their brick films. But you don't need to do that. All you have to do is just build to what the camera sees and what your scene requires, and you should be good to go on step one.
Yeah,
Tom, what do you got for step 2, man?
I'm really glad you said that's it. Build what the camera sees. Step two is to get creative with the book of tricks. Yeah. So an example that pops to mind: if you're shooting, for example, couple of people talking on the roof of a building, and they've got a city as a background. Yeah, I mean, it would look fantastic if you could build that city to scale with the minifigures, but you don't have to do that. You can still sort of pull off some magic with some sort of depth of field, and make sort of a mini city, but put it in the background and sort of play around with it and position it so it actually looks full size, but you can do it with obviously a lot less bricks. I think that's a really cool trick, playing around with scale, because you can definitely mix scale in one shot. I mean, don't ever be afraid to do that. You could have sort of foreground being the minifigure scale, the background could be something a lot smaller or a lot larger. So that's definitely a nice trick to be able to use. It's actually shooting a film. You need to think about, okay, what are the shots like? We talked a bit last week about storyboarding, and we don't usually storyboard, but actually when I storyboarded on the James Bond film I made, it was really useful to be able to work out where I needed to fit the camera, because sometimes cameras are big, yeah? So you need to keep in mind when you're making the set, how am I going to fit the camera, be it a webcam, a DSLR, or a phone even, how am I going to fit the camera or the lens in this shot? So another great tip you need to add to your book of tips is designing the set with removable wall section or panels, so you don't have to completely destroy the set just to rotate it by 90 degrees, that sort of thing.
I would also think another tip could be add depth to your sets, because I used to, and I still do kind of now, is we usually get our bricks and we just build like a flat wall with nothing on it, nothing in front of it, just between the character and the wall. Like, there's nothing in between them. It's just the character and the wall. So I would suggest, putting, accessories down, like a trash can, or maybe like a poster on the wall, or a window, build an outside and exterior, build like a little park outside, a little driveway, a little street, add trees, add plants, add a computer desk in front of your wall or something. Add some depth between the character and the wall, because if you add depth, then you are able to, recognize that this character is not, I don't know how to say this, but this character is not like,
and
yeah,
makes it more realistic, I guess.
It also adds to the fact that this character has stuff. This character is not like living with nothing in his house, because that's not really possible. Not because characters, they have things in their house. So
I mean, if you think about real life, how often do you go into a room and it's totally empty, like completely, totally empty? Like, I can't remember the last time I did that.
So you need to at least, have some type of accessories in there, whether, like I said, whether it be like a computer desk or like a window or a tree, or print out like a little poster from your computer, cut it out and put some tape on it, and boom, put it on the wall, and then boom, you got like a nice looking wall with a poster, a custom made poster probably of that. Like, I think those little accessories, those are really cool in my eyes. I like to watch a lot of brick films that have a lot of great set design and great exteriors and great, accessories in their scenes, and they're kind of like little Easter eggs, I guess, because I know a lot of brick filmers that put little secrets and Easter eggs in their little background. So I think that'd be kind of cool, for people to do that.
It's a great opportunity. Oh yeah, great opportunity for Easter eggs, and I love putting Easter eggs in the background of my films. I mean, just literally, don't be afraid to put anything down. Just sort of break up that wall. Even things like Lego make that piece that's like an iron girder sort of thing. You could sort of just put a load of those in front of the wall, and all of a sudden, bam! You've got a realistic looking wall here that's infinitely times better than just your basic grey wall.
A character with a plain wall with nothing between them, it's boring. Like, it doesn't make me want to keep watching that brick film at all, because what's to say about this character? Even he's got nothing. It's just him and a wall. And
I think actually set design is a very undervalued aspect of making a brick film. It can, like, literally with with the smallest amount of effort, it can completely change.
Oh yeah, for
change
sure.
the game.
I think, for me at least, I don't know about others, but like I said before, like when I watch a brick film, I want to see great or good set design, or depending on the story. Like for example, Matt's or Bricktail Studios 0 Hour, amazing set design. Like he spent a lot of money on a lot of bricks for to match the Geonosis level from Republic Commando, and it looked great. It looked really good, and it made me want to keep watching the whole video. But there are like brick filmers out there, and there's nothing against younger brick filmers doing this, because I know we all done this before. But younger brick filmers send us brick films a lot, and it's like, hey, can you watch this, and tell me how it is, or can you review this on the podcast or something like that? And we look at it, and it's literally a character walking in front of a plain wall, and it's not interesting. It doesn't take my eye off like my phone or something. Like if I see a brick film like that, it just makes me want to pick up my phone and scroll through it just to wait till the video at least gets a little interesting. And that's nothing to say to be insulting or like negative, but it's just, it really like, it doesn't draw my attention, because with the character in a plain wall, they kind of mesh together, and it kind of feels like a 2D drawing. And for me, 2D drawings are not that great unless it's like, I don't know, Super Mario or something like that on the Game Boy. I don't know, but
yeah, I mean, it depends. Yeah. It depends what sort of theme you're going for, right? I think another thing you should think about, which we're not going to go into too much detail here, because we're going to go into this at a later date, is how you're going to light this set. Okay, so if you're making the set with a ceiling, actually, yeah, the Star Destroyer bridge I've made recently, it's got a ceiling in it. So I sort of had to think about how I was going to light that, but also, I've got big hands. How am I going to get my hands into this set without knocking it about? Because you want to be taping down your sets to the desk, right? So you don't get that unnecessary shaking there. But yeah, you've got to think of it from a utility perspective. This is going to be a different process to when you build a Lego set or a MOC, for example, because like Jared said, that's sort of designed to look good from most angles, whereas this one, you really just need it to look good from one angle in particular, but also be able to be used as a set. So nice open air for the light to get in, or not get in, for example. Yeah, you need to be able to get your hands in there. Also, it sort of sometimes helps if you've got a lot of minifigure movement to sort of work out, okay, am I going to be able to, like if you tile over the set, it could look really good, but it could also be an absolute menace to animate with, because your minifigure doesn't stand anywhere, yeah? Or like your minifigure can't physically fit through a gap, and so you need to think of it in that sort of mindset, because there'd be nothing worse than sitting down for an hour, getting all the way through a shoot, and then having your minifigure turn around to try and do something and realize that you actually can't do it, and you end up binning all the footage you've worked so hard to take.
We talked about pre-production in the last episode, but I think pre-production and planning really plays a part in set design as well. People don't really think so, but it really does, because you have to plan your sets, because you have to plan to where the camera's going to be, where your hands are going to be, where your minifigure is going to walk, and how your sets are going to move around, and what walls you have to take down to fit the camera lens in there, or the webcam, or anything like that. You have to plan quite a bit for set design, which I really don't do quite a lot. I'll say it myself, but I wish I should. I really should, honestly. But I think
I mean, even things as simple as just planning how high the walls have got to be, right, for your camera, because that usually gets animators sort of just starting out. They don't realize that. Well, it's not that they don't realize, but it's like the further away you move your camera from the set, the higher you need your walls to be, so you're not just seeing whatever table it is you're animating on a wall behind you.
Yeah, and I think building a set also really depends on what your story is. Like, what story are you trying to tell? Now, like a character in a plain wall, that might work for like a solo story, not a Star Wars story. I'll take that back. Like a a singled out kind of insane asylum, like a guy in a room by himself, or like a guy, stuck in this, dimension where there's nothing at all. Like, that's okay. A plain wall and a character, if it really works for the story, then do it. But depending on what your story is, add those accessories, add those little details that really flesh out your characters more than you think. Like, if you put a computer in your character's room, boom, he might be techie, he might be a nerd, who knows? Or, it really depends, because it really helps to, flesh out your characters in a way that,
sell the story as well.
Tell a more complete story, and more than words can say.
Yeah. Also, I mean, it's a point I really want to stress is that some of the best brick films I've ever seen have actually had relatively small and simple sets. Simple as in not basic, but sort of there's not a lot going on. There's still stuff going on, but the guy that made it didn't use masses of bricks. You don't need masses of bricks to make a great looking set. You just need to be quite clever with how you're putting together, and that sort of thing I think comes in practice. The more films you make, the better you're going to get at this. I mean, actually, to be honest, in terms of what I've used in the past and what I've learned, a lot of my early on films actually used a lot of Mega Blocks, because I had a lot of 2x4 Mega Blockses, which
you have just broken the Lego rule.
I know. No, yeah, that's the number 2 rule. The number 1 rule is the whole pluralizing of Lego, which we're not gonna mutter on this pod.
But I would think that, like you said before, a lot of good brick filmers use simple sets. So one of my biggest pet thieves is when you put minifigures in an actual vehicle and they try to film inside it. You can make a little simpler set for you to animate with.
Okay.
And just, take the same color bricks that your car is built with and just build like a simpler set and make it easier for your hands to be in there and for your minifigures to move. For my Brick City Cops stack entry, the part where, wow, I can't remember their names now. The 2 cops are in a white car in front of the house. They weren't in a car. They were in a built car with a built, window, car door that was way bigger than the actual car itself, because the car itself had 1 seat in it, and that was not enough for the 2 characters to sit in. So I built a smaller set, but more flexible for me to animate with, and it made it more easier to me than using the actual Lego car that came with a set years ago. For sure.
It's like the classic X-Wing cockpit.
Yeah.
And that sort of brings me on to my next thing about set design is you want to think about reflective elements. So tiles are quite reflective, but also trying to shoot through a sort of trans black colored windscreen, or trans blue even. So I know a lot of the trans blue. Those sorts of pieces, the translucent pieces, can be quite tricky to work with, because you'll get sort of reflection off your lights, the camera, and also it might reflect you, to be honest, animating behind the camera. And obviously with you moving between shots, you really want to be careful with things like that. Just lots of little.
I guess we'll go on in more detail about that when, in the animation episode.
Yeah.
But definitely wear a black shirt.
That's it. That's the classic.
Or
you
a dark color
kick your mind into animation mode. Just sort of look at it and think critically. Right, what could go on here? What could go wrong here? Sorry. So oh, that lamp isn't down properly. Am I going to knock that between shots and then not notice for half an hour, and then have to bin everything? You just gotta look critically at your set sometimes, I think. But yeah, that's so just keep an eye out for the danger elements, I like to call them. Also, it's a thing we touched on last week briefly, and it comes into that planning aspect, is that like sometimes for me, on some of my films, it can take me a whole day to make these sets.
Yeah.
Right. So you want to be super sure, and I said this last week, but I'm gonna say it again because it's important. You want to be super sure that when you're destroying a set, that you don't need it for the rest of the project, basically, because there's no point shooting the film in chronological order. What you should do is if you need that set, do all the shots with that set,
Right.
and then reorganize it later. I mean that seems like an obvious fact, but sometimes I guess if you're in that sort of tunnel vision stage and you're just excited to do scene by scene, then yeah, you just got to be careful of stuff like that.
Now, Tom, let me ask you this: what is like one of your favorite sets that you ever built? Because for me,
Ooh,
like
good
your
one.
Star Destroyer set, like the Star Destroyer bridge, was awesome. Like
Yeah.
I loved it.
So there's actually I don't want to say really cool because it sounds like I'm selling myself here, but on my Twitter, it's my pinned tweet. It'll probably still be my pinned tweet. There's I've built a Star Destroyer bridge for various different projects. I think I've done it like 4 times now over the years, and you can it's a really nice collection of images because you're able to see the progress and the sort of growth I've made as an animator and a set designer through the years. So I definitely say that my latest Star Destroyer bridge, which I'm looking at right now, is definitely one of my favorite sets I've ever made. I'm really keen on making a decent Batcave for a future project. I think I could do a really nice job of one of those. But yeah, none of my other sets particularly jumped to mind. I actually really liked the James Bond M's Office one.
I did too. Yeah, I like that a lot as well.
It had some pictures, like you said before with the posters. It had sort of brick built frames with actual pictures on the wall, and there were a lot of tricks in that set actually. Like the curtains. The curtains were, I think they were like kitchen roll or toilet paper or something, and the sun coming through them gave it like a daylight sort of effect, which was really nice. It's something I sort of came up with on the fly. But what about you, Jared? What's your favorite set?
I am probably one of the worst set designers because I have limited amount of bricks.
He's humble.
No, but I guess recently I think the police chief Ratton from Brook City Cops, like his office was pretty cool to make, and I added a lot of detail in there, and that's probably the best set I've built in my past couple of years because I usually don't build a lot of good sets, but either that or I made this kind of like this Star Destroyer / Death Star hallway with a lot of gray bricks, and I felt like that was pretty cool, and that was never released, but I never finished it. But the set was really cool, and I think that was really cool to make. But yeah,
have you got pictures of the set?
Sort of, in a way. It's all right. I probably won't share it ever. And I have made a Batcave kind of thing back in the day. It was like 2014. Long gone. I don't think I have any more pictures of it anymore. I wish I did because it was pretty cool. I made it homemade too, and it was like you remember that small Batcave set that came in the first wave of Batman Lego sets.
Oh, dude,
it was like it was the one on tilts, and had the back computer on it as well.
Oh yeah.
I built one very similar to that. Like it had like tilts and everything and a staircase. It was pretty cool, pretty amateur-like, but it was still pretty cool. I really enjoyed making it. But I think those are a couple of my favorites. But like you said, like little details, like of accessories, really help sell a set. And I think for me, like a tip is there's a lot of channels on YouTube out there and like different forums and everything. And it's like create how to make a Lego bookcase or how to make a Lego pool table, how to make a Lego computer. Like watch those videos because you never know like what kind of those mini sets you can put in your brick films in your sets, and it'll help sell your brick films so much better. And I think watching those tutorials will really help you as an animator and you as a Lego enthusiast, I guess, because it'll help man, I have these pieces, I can make a bookcase out of this, I can make a kitchen table out of this. Like it'll help you as a Lego builder overall.
That's it, man. That's it. You just gotta draw inspiration from everywhere. It's the same with everything. The more you see, the more that you've seen, and the more that you're able to reproduce or sort of alter for yourself. That's it. You just want to keep those creative juices going in your head and just feed it data, feed it information. That's it. But man, I could talk about this all day. But
yeah.
I think we're on for 25 minutes now, so I think we should start winding down.
Yep, so you can go ahead and follow us on Twitter at ScorchBricks, at TheDudeBrick. You can subscribe and like us on our videos and our channels. Subscribe to ScorchBricks on YouTube. Subscribe to DudeBrick on YouTube. This podcast will be on Tom's channel at ScorchBricks, and these episodes will come out weekly, so make sure to check them out whenever you can. This episode will probably come out weeks ahead of time, so I have no idea what will happen in between then. But remember, check out the Frame 100 Podcast channel. It is the Frame 100 Podcast on YouTube, at Frame 100 Podcast on Twitter. Make sure to go check those out. We have a channel trailer out, probably a couple episodes already out by now. Whenever this episode comes out, I have no idea what's going to go in between this, like I said. But yeah, next episode we will be talking about lighting, which will be a fun episode.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good one.
Because who doesn't enjoy?
I've got
lighting?
some bright ideas for that as well.
Oh man. Oh, already starting with the plans in season 1.
It's going.
How great.
It's going.
How great. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for checking out this podcast. Make sure to like us and subscribe to Tom's channel and my channel. And we will see all of you next week for lighting of the Behind the Bricks podcast. I'm Jared Johnson /DudeBrick.
I'm Tom Johnson /ScorchBricks. Thank you for listening. Have a good week.